Hello and welcome to today's webinar on OdorKlenz Air. Today we're going to cover several OdorKlenz products, but we will be focusing on the OdorKlenz Air products and technology. Today's agenda will include what the product is and the technology behind it, the effectiveness of the product, and we'll be sharing several case studies as we go throughout the presentation. We're going to talk about the safety benefits of the product, as well as revenue generation on the product. The webinar today will last approximately 30 minutes, and there will be opportunities for you to submit questions through the chat feature. The technology behind the OdorKlenz products originated from next-generation military decontamination research and development. The products, as they were being developed, the researchers really understood that these products were very effective at breaking down very toxic and deadly chemicals such as mustard agent, VX gas, and several things that are used for negative purposes. And this technology that it is based upon is a patented process. It is a earth mineral based technology, so the materials are actually very safe. And what's unique about them is that earth minerals traditionally don't have a lot of chemical reactivity or chemical activity, but they're very safe materials. Well, what we've done is we've engineered them in a way that makes them very effective towards a wide variety of chemicals. They have enhanced chemical reactivity because of the large surface areas of these materials, and the materials are very versatile. They can be used in a whole host of forms, whether that's powders, granules, or added into liquids to make suspensions. It makes them very environmentally friendly with the basis of them being earth minerals, and these materials have been tested very rigorously for safety and validation of use in the field. This image that I have here is what a traditional metal oxide would look like, and as you can see, they're actually very regular shaped, very cubic, very organized materials. The materials that Timolon makes with our patented processes are actually very irregular, and the particle size is actually larger than traditional metal oxides. The reason this is beneficial is chemistry, and this is a bit of an oversimplification, but chemistry likes to occur on corners and edges with their uncoordinated ions. And with very regular and rigid structures with lower surface area, you just don't have very many corners and edges. With the patented technology that Timolon has in our metal oxides, they're actually able to take advantage of the entire surface area of the material for chemical reactivity. I kind of like to equate this from an analogy standpoint is if we had a toxic chemical spill and we needed to soak it up, would you rather use an unpopped popcorn kernel or a popped piece of popcorn? Well, you would want to use the popped piece of popcorn because all of that internal surface area has been exposed. It has been popped and made that surface available to soak up and contain chemicals. And that's what we're doing really with all of our OdorKlenz products, is utilizing a high surface area material to take advantage of all its chemical reactive sites for them to act upon chemicals, pollutants, and odors. The first product that really came out of this metal oxide technology was called Fast Act, and this is a product that's been out for several years, and it was designed and it is used for toxic industrial chemical neutralization, mitigation, and chemical warfare agent neutralization. And a few years ago, it was launched originally into the first responder and hazmat markets. And then as the product was being used, an event happened, a very unfortunate event, being Hurricane Katrina, and this product was utilized down there, which at first it was thought to be going to be going down there to mitigate a lot of toxic chemical spills and chemical cleanup. But the biggest concern on folks down there, their biggest concern was actually the odors in these enclosed spaces, and they were asking us, will this technology work on the odors? Well, yes, odors are chemicals, fundamentally. We may not be neutralizing a chemical warfare agent, but we can utilize this technology to knock down these odors, mitigate it, and make the environments, safer with reduced with reduced chemical concentration. And that really led to a whole host of indoor air quality products that we're going to be talking about today, from laundry additives to spill containment, source treatments, subfloor treatment kits, and of course the OdorKlenz Air cartridge, which all these products together are what we're here to talk about, which is odors that are disrupting the quality of life or day-to-day business of our customers. We obviously want to talk about, not just mitigating those odors, but the environmental safety impacts of those odors, and how can we help make that situation a lot better. And the solution to that is let's take this earth mineral technology and let's deploy it in something that's very easy to use in the disaster restoration industry, such as a cartridge. And we're going to put that into equipment that we already utilize all the time, such as air scrubbers and dehumidifiers, to eliminate these airborne odors and harmful chemicals through a process that we call destructive adsorption. And destructive adsorption is a term that we use because it really talks about taking advantage of the high surface area of these materials for a chemical reaction. And that's what's really important here, is that with the OdorKlenz materials, chemical reactions are occurring. The chemicals are being broken down, destroyed, and retained on the product, and they're not out in the environment. So we are improving indoor air quality, increasing safety, and very importantly also from a restoration perspective, we're reducing that cross-contamination. The three main cartridge products come in a few different sizes and configurations. We've got the original OdorKlenz Air cartridge, which is your broad purpose, all types of uses cartridge. It goes into air scrubbers. We've got the a version that fits into dehumidifiers, and then the OdorKlenz Air Pro Finisher, which is optimized and a slightly different optimized blend for chemicals that are being created like after a restoration is done, with the painting and the lacquers and the fumes coming from refinishing. Now, the first case study I'd like to talk about today is a pretty common one that I hear from restoration contractors. Is restoration contractors, the business we're in, we're all skeptics. And I hear this many times, that I'm a skeptic. And this particular contractor, Ron, he told us, the first time I really, got the chance to use this, I really became a believer because, I did this on a protein fire. And as we all know, protein fires, don't always have a lot of visible residue. They're very hard to help mitigate and help restore. He deployed it on that process, saw how well it really worked, made the customers very happy, made the homeowner very happy, and it really can be utilized on a whole host of odors. And one of the things that we're going to be talking about today is, the applications of this product and where and when it should be utilized. Well, from a restoration perspective, the opportunities are really somewhat endless. Just about every job we're on is impacted. The indoor air quality is impacted negatively by some sort of pollution or contaminant, whether that's a fire or chemical fumes or a mold job or a water loss job where there's sewage or chemical contamination in those types of things. So the equipment that these, as I mentioned previously, can be deployed in include our portable air scrubbers or air filtration devices or AFDs and dehumidifiers. And we have cartridges that fit in a whole host of common equipment types from Dry-Ease and Phoenix and Nicro and many other manufacturers out there. The OdorKlenz Air original cartridge is available in a couple of sizes. Typically your 500 CFM size units like the Dry-Ease Defend Air HEPA 500 or the Phoenix Guardian or Mini Guardian are pretty common pieces of equipment that I've encountered that folks utilize these cartridges on. And this is going to be your go-to cartridge for the mitigation of odors caused on all types of disasters. You show up on a job site, there's negative air quality that's been impacted by the event. You want to start this air scrubber with a cartridge in it right from the beginning. The OdorKlenz Air dehumidifier cartridges come in a variety of sizes. Again, they're primarily going to be used on Category 2 or Category 3 water loss situations. This cartridge technology has the same same exact blend and formulation of materials as the original one. It's just been optimized to use in some different equipment to make the job easier for restorers on water losses. Then the OdorKlenz Air Pro Finisher again comes in common sizes for 500 CFM units or larger 1,200 to 2,000 CFM air scrubbers. Again, much like the Dry-Ease HEPA 500 or the Phoenix Guardian and Mini Guardian models. Again, this is a product that, after the restoration's done and the work begins on restoring that property with the painting, the finishing, this is the type of cartridge that's been optimized to target those types of chemicals. The configuration table here is something that's actually very important to follow. One of the things that we want people to really recommend and really follow is that treatment volume in terms of per cubic foot volume being treated. The regular 16 by 16 cartridge, again, which goes in a lot of common 500 CFM units, treats up to about 15,000 cubic feet. That would be the equivalent of, achieving about 2 to 4 air exchanges per hour. This configuration table does appear on all of the products' packaging, or the information specific for that cartridge appears on the packaging. And that's one of the most important things to really follow when you are deploying this product out in the restoration field. And this is something that you want to set up right from the beginning of the job. One of the biggest impacts that, we can make when we're working on a job site is by doing something that the customer is going to notice right away. And if we're setting up an air scrubber for any reason, that means the air quality's been impacted, with particulates, with chemicals. We can start doing something about that. We really do believe that any time an air scrubber is turned on, it should have an OdorKlenz Air cartridge in it, because air scrubbers remove particulates, but they don't address the chemicals. Chemicals are much smaller. They pass through filters. If we're only treating it for particulates, we're only doing half the job. So pop in an air cartridge into the air scrubber and locate it near the source of the odor. For example, if it was a home with a kitchen fire, we would want to locate the air scrubber near the source of that fire in that kitchen. So a quick way to do this, of course, is set it up at the beginning and then make sure you're achieving that 2 to 4 air exchanges per hour. And one of the best things about the OdorKlenz technology is there's no special precautions needed for sensitive fabrics, pets, plants, or people. You can set this up, your crews can show up, and they can start working right around this product as it's working, which again is very beneficial while you're doing a pack out, while you're working on a job, because then as you reduce that contamination, you're minimizing cross-contamination or spread of those odors and chemicals throughout the property. There are a couple of setup differences depending upon if you're using portable air scrubbers or dehumidifiers. Again, with the portable air scrubbers, you want to really target that 4 air exchanges per hour or a minimum of 2 air exchanges per hour. But with the dehumidifiers, you're going to outfit that property just like you would for the loss, the category loss and class, and then install the cartridges into the dehumidifiers and just make sure that the cubic foot treatment volumes match up to the space that is being treated. And you can utilize both air scrubber and dehumidifier cartridges in conjunction with each other. Here's a fire job, very typical. This particular property had an iron, or is it like a hair iron or a hair dryer that was in a bathroom that ended up catching the bathroom on fire, destroyed the second floor basically of the home. Very common occurrence. Contractor set up an air scrubber into that area, popped in a cartridge. Obviously, this is near the source of the fire, and very quickly, again, the property is starting to be restored. Air quality is better. It's improving the property needed to pack out. Contents need to be removed. Crews were working in better working conditions. And really one of the key things, is the speed of this process. Here we've done in an environmental lab test, and this was a test done, trying to compare apples to apples with a lot of other technologies that are available to us as restorers. And We tested the OdorKlenz Air cartridge in air scrubbers, thermal foggers, carbon filters, ozone machines, hydroxyl machines, and masking agents. Released the exact same amount of chemical contaminants into the room. And again, it was a smaller room, but we wanted to do a direct comparison. And within minutes, OdorKlenz Air was to completely knock down and neutralize that chemical. In this particular test, the chemical was hydrogen sulfide, and that's a great chemical to utilize for restoration applications because it occurs after fires. It's present in Category 3 and Category 2 water losses. So it's a very representative chemical for us to be using. The x-axis there is time in minutes, and the y-axis is parts per million of the chemical being detected by an electronic detector. So as you can see, the product is turned on after just a minute, and then over the course of the few minutes, or in many cases hours, the chemical of hydrogen sulfide was reduced and eliminated. In the case of the OdorKlenz Air, it only took 15 minutes to remove it from that environmental room. And in the case of the other technologies, it didn't remove it, or it took several hours to do so. In the case of a couple of them, we also did some monitoring. It was more subjective, but if there was a process that was releasing a chemical to the environment, like thermal fogging, was that chemical still present? And in many of those cases, yes, we could still detect the chemical that was released. And that truly is a huge benefit of OdorKlenz Air, is by recirculating and using air scrubbers, we're bringing the chemicals and pollutants to the cartridge for them to be broken down in the cartridge. This is not something that's occurring out into the environment. Here's a case study we had with a contractor in Tennessee who utilized this on a sewage job where the basement had, over an inch of deep sewage, and he installed the OdorKlenz Air cartridge kind of on a landing between the basement and the second, the main floor of the home. And he ran it for a few hours while they were, pumping out the lovely sewage water. And the homeowner was just absolutely thrilled. He said, we got to meet the homeowner, and they were just absolutely surprised by the fact that this odor that was starting to spread throughout their home was gone. It just works. Again, that speaks to the speed of the product and how fast and how quick it can be deployed on a job site. Now I'm going to show 6 different characteristics against the common competition here, just to kind of show you what we think is important here at Timilon when we're trying to treat air quality in an environment. Number 1 is, we do want to see immediate results. It's a world where people like to have immediate gratification. Well, with OdorKlenz Air, you're starting to remove that chemicals and concentrations, and you're reducing them, and that can be noticed very quickly. With a lot of other products, the immediate results that you're getting with a masking agent or in some cases some certain foggers, depending upon the chemistry, is you're just getting a new fragrance added to the environment. With OdorKlenz Air, we're actually subtracting the chemicals and pollutants from the environment. And the technology is one that actually does destroy the chemicals and pollutants that it's encountering. Things like ozone and hydroxyl and some chemical pairing agents may have the chemistry to do so, but it's doing it out into the environment. Our process is non-invasive, as I just mentioned. We're doing our destructive technology within our cartridge. We're not releasing chemicals or byproducts. We're not releasing a chemical or fragrance out into the environment, which is, again, we think is very important. Fundamentally, if our job, as restorers is to get that home to a pre-loss condition, we want to, mitigate and remove chemicals from the environment. We really want to try to minimize what we're putting into the environment so that people don't have, reactions or sensitivities to those. And in fact, just yesterday, I actually read in my weekly Clean Facts Insider, they had a little article from Michael Wilson. It was just simply titled, chemical irritants, and he was mainly talking about, the carpet cleaning industry and the chemicals that are being used on carpets and how folks can react negatively to those. It's not always a common occurrence, but it can happen. And, the main thing he mentioned in there was really to we got to get those things out of there. We got to minimize what we leave behind. And I really think that applies to what we're doing here with OdorKlenz Air. We want to minimize the impact that the total process has for the homeowner. So if we can mitigate odors and chemicals and pollutants without having to disperse them into the environment, I really think that makes a lot of sense. And since our product is being combined, our cartridge, into an air scrubber, that means we're also getting that particulate removal, from the things that are floating in the air. So we are totally, from a total perspective, we're going to now improve the indoor air quality and make the job site a lot safer for both us, as being on the job site as restorers, as well as for, our customer and the homeowner or property owner. From a safety perspective, a few years ago I had the opportunity to talk to some folks in a regional hazmat fire department that was doing some research on a whole host of things, but a couple of the key points were that, the reason they were starting to look at this and do some research on fire losses was because firemen by profession, firemen and firewomen, have one of the higher rates of cancer, and by profession, and that's because they're obviously going into environments where a lot of toxic chemicals are generated. But when they leave that job site, at best, they're only monitoring for a couple of things, being carbon monoxide and, of course, an ignition source like, the oxygen. But all the other chemicals and hazardous materials really aren't being looked at. And then, of course, those properties are being turned back over to the restorers or the homeowners or the property owners. And looking into this from what's in the environment, that there's a whole host of hazardous chemicals and a lot of, the concentration of many of these chemicals can be, levels that we're not really supposed to be exposed to. So, these are chemicals that we can often smell, but not always. So the air quality on restoration job sites, as you know, is it's negatively impacted. I've been on plenty of job sites, and sometimes you can smell them, but there are other times where you actually, and I know many of you here on this call and webinar know this, but you can actually taste them or you can feel them. It's not always just the smell. But we need to obviously minimize exposure to these chemicals and get them out of the environment if we're wanting to restore that property back to pre-loss conditions. This is a study that was done utilizing the OdorKlenz Air product in a 500 CFM air scrubber, and it was monitored for, and a monitor was brought in that could measure total VOC content in a home. And this particular monitor was very sensitive equipment. It could actually do all the way down to parts per billion ranges of total VOCs. I believe it was a Gray Wolf monitor. But anyway, a cartridge was deployed in an air scrubber, and it was turned on. And immediately, just within the course of a few hours, the total VOC content in that property, dropped way down into the parts per billion, low parts per billion range. Just really showing you the positive impact this product, when deployed on a job site, can have, on the property. The next case study I'd like to mention is actually a fairly common one. For some odd reason, I've heard more about liquor store fires than I have just about any other property, but this is another liquor store one. But again, it's a very common to what we see. It's a 1,200 square foot building. It was part of a shopping center area. An OdorKlenz Air cartridge was brought in by the contractor. They were very worried about, were the properties in the adjacent suites needing to, potentially close down. And just after a couple of hours of running this product, they were able to, minimize that odor, eliminate that odor. Customer was happy, the contractor was happy, the insurance company was happy. Everybody was happy because not only could they get rid of that smell and odor, but they didn't have to put the other businesses, they didn't have to close them down because of the spread of those odors. So the benefits to, our collective customers are, this is a product and a technology that is very safe to be used. It's a system, that improves indoor air quality from the air in the air scrubbers to some of the other products that I mentioned earlier, like the laundry additives. These are products that can be utilized as a system and a process that are totally safe, for use around people, pets, plants, and are going to provide immediate results. They're non-invasive. It's a green technology being metal oxide technology. And the benefits, of course, to the insurance company are pretty substantial as well. If we can reduce additional living expenses, get people back into their homes quicker, or in the case of, I've had many folks tell me, well, we had a kitchen fire, the damage wasn't, terribly extensive to the whole property, it was kind of contained. We were able to run your product and keep those folks in their home. So we can, again, minimize ALEs, reduce the total loss ratio, and of course, if we can keep customers happy, that's going to increase, our total satisfaction on the job site. And keeping people in their homes is a great way to keep them satisfied. Had another set of residential fires that a contractor and his adjuster were telling us about, where there were several fires in a community, and the adjuster really liked that this contractor was starting to utilize the OdorKlenz Air technology and the OdorKlenz products, because he liked the idea of not having to use ozone. This particular adjuster understood the concerns and some of the dangers that are out there with using ozone, and the setup time and the process with that product. And the contractor said, we just had no hint of an odor afterwards. The homeowner, the adjusters were very impressed, and the contractor, reported that he was starting to integrate this into his marketing and getting jobs specifically because he was not using ozone. And the benefits to the contractor, from the speed of the product, it's very fast. It's something that we can set up right at the beginning of the job. We're using very durable equipment. Air scrubbers are built to last. These are things that when we're moving them around within the property, they're not going to get damaged. So we're taking an air scrubber and making it a dual-use product. We're enhancing the environmental safety for our crews and for our teams and for our customers. Again, it is a green and safe technology. We're not leaving chemicals behind on the property. This is a product that we can use in conjunction with other OdorKlenz products, such as the OdorKlenz absorbent. If it was a trauma job, we can utilize absorbent products to mitigate directly on the source, as well as treat the air with the OdorKlenz Air cartridge. Just systematic approaches for treating both the source and the air to increase, our customer satisfaction and to make money. And this is a product that is an Xactimate. It's very profitable. Every cartridge pays for itself and can generate revenue. Here are the different codes. The HMR category is the hazardous material remediation category. The TCR, of course, is the crime scene, trauma and crime scene remediation category, and the WTR is for the water and the fire loss. So they've got the common sizes in there, both the 16 by 16 and the 24 by 24 cartridges in there. And they typically bill out around, of course, the smaller cartridge around $150, the larger cartridge around $250. Plus, of course, you get the setup, the time, the air scrubber rental. So it all adds to a very, economically friendly for contractor product and process. The quality assurance things to remember from the use of the cartridge is, we want to use a new cartridge on every job at the beginning. We're going to use an air scrubber. We need to put an OdorKlenz cartridge in there. It's a new job, new cartridge, and you want to size the job based on both the equipment that you have, as well as make sure you follow those treatment guidelines. If it's a 2,000 square foot home with 10-foot ceilings, 20,000 cubic feet, you're probably going to need 2 air systems with the cartridge in each one of those to properly treat that air. The cartridge itself lasts typically 7 to 10 days, which of course is going to cover most of the work on any restoration job site that we're on. And you're going to notice most of the effectiveness within the first 3 days of the product's use. The last case study I'd really like to share with you is one that I think paints a picture of how well this product can be used. It was down in Georgia in the middle of summer. It was very hot. There was a neighbor noticed that the house that they lived next to was starting to emanate this horrible, horrible odor, and she called the fire department, and they had the proper personnel come in, and they had to put on their SCBA gear to get that decomp out of there. And the AC was not running in this home. As I mentioned, it was the summer in Georgia. They said it was over 95-degree heat, and it had been there for a week. And the contractor came in, pushed in a air scrubber with a cartridge, did some source contamination cleaning, and he said just within a couple of days, that decomp odor, which is just absolutely horrible, was gone from the home, gone from the property, and he just said, I really love this product and the service, and it worked fantastic for us. And again, a very not the prettiest picture to imagine, but it really does show you the power that this product can have. But it doesn't have to be worst case scenarios for this product to be used. Any type of job site, as I mentioned, where we need to improve indoor air quality, if we're putting an air scrubber on a job site, it really, that's only addressing part of the problem. We need to make sure we're addressing the chemicals and the odors associated with that, and the pollution, the contamination, and that's where the OdorKlenz Air cartridge comes in. We have, of course, a bunch of literature and resources that can both support you, the insurance community, the end customers, but myself, if you ever need phone assistance, that is my direct phone line here at the office, and I can help you out. And I've also had contractors who, when they utilize this for the first time, they'll say, well, I may want you to talk to my insurance adjuster or someone that I'm working with. And I have absolutely no problems with, my name being added and my phone number right to their invoice or paperwork, because I'm more than happy to assist, or any of my colleagues are as well. The availability of these cartridges is they're both in each level pricing as well as case level pricing. They range from $59 to $236, and are available at various distributors such as Interlink Supply affiliates around the country, Timilon, and on Timilon's OdorKlenz.com website. Of course, the most important thing is that when you're using these things, they're going to do the job, and they're going to pay for themselves, generate profit, and really make a lot of folks happy. So in summary, this is a process you want to start right from the beginning. I even had a contractor tell me about how she used this process and product. She uses it when she goes to bid a job, because it's something she can do to get that insurance adjuster or that property owner committed to the process. Do it while you're on site. You can do it right from the beginning. It's going to be a lot better for everybody that's going to be coming onto that job site. It's non-invasive. We're not putting out chemicals to the environment. It's going to remove and destroy those pollutants, so there's no chemical being released, no chemical byproducts out in the environment, and of course it is a safe alternative to those types of chemical processes. It's safe for us to work around, safe for us to live around, and again, follow the per cubic foot treatment guidelines. Make sure you've got the right equipment, treating the right airspace, target that 4 air exchanges per hour. And the air cartridges is doing a ton of the work, but we also have other products that can really enhance the process by treating the source product, by treating source odors. The absorbent product can be applied to liquids that are off-gassing, decomp fluids. We have surface treatments that can be sprayed onto various surfaces. Got laundry additives that can be brought in as things are packed out and brought off-site. We need to obviously clean and treat those chemicals. Laundry additives, a very effective product on the restoration job site. We now have a few minutes, if you would like. We've had a few questions already submitted. Just click the little chat icon and make sure you select the @host question, and then I'll be able to answer those questions. first question that has come in was, does this work on skunk odors? And the question is, yes, absolutely. Skunk odors are thiol-based chemistry. It's a sulfur-based chemistry. The product is very effective against those sorts of things. The second question that came in a little earlier was, can I use this as the same time as ozone? Anytime you're using our process, you really don't want to be utilizing a process that is simultaneously putting out chemicals to the environment. They essentially would be acting against each other. The OdorKlenz Air wants to bring in chemicals and neutralize them. Ozone generator is, of course, putting out a chemical. So you would not want to utilize those technologies simultaneously. The next question I have is, it's a question about the protein fire, where the viewer wants to know is, it can be easy to overlook something that needs cleaning. If OdorKlenz cartridge is used on a job and something was not completely cleaned, would there be any difference in the odor levels after the equipment containing the OdorKlenz cartridge is removed? Odors would return at the same level. That's actually an excellent point about protein fires. When you do have trouble seeing residues, that's one of the most important reasons to utilize a technology that doesn't mask those things, so that you can make sure you are cleaning all the sources so that they can be identified. I've had plenty of restorers who have utilized this product on protein fires where they've gone in, used this product, done our cleaning, and then after the fact, the odor does not return to that it does not come back to the full force if they missed a spot. It is, I guess you'd say, it's relative to how well the cleaning was done. But I've had, again, plenty of restorers tell me, again, a key thing is that this is making it easier for us to identify where those source spots are that we need to clean, because we're not masking them. We're removing the bulk from the airborne space. The next question, it has to do with cigarette smoke and pet urine, and does it work with fabrics and textiles? The answer to that, of course, is yes, it does work on all of those types of odors. With fabrics and textiles, we have the laundry product that works very well. The OdorKlenz S product is a surface product that we have that works great for spraying it and extracting it off of surfaces. We also even have products that can be applied, if you're doing tear out to, you're moving drywall or something like that for replacement, that can be sprayed on the studs or the walls behind it to help minimize off-gassing of those chemicals. So yes, it can work on all of those. We do have different source treatments and direct treatments for different sources. The one thing about the cigarette smoke, though, that I do like to qualify is, just placing an air scrubber in a home that's been smoked in for 30 years, that's not going to do the job by itself. Oftentimes that's, that tar is very well stuck to, and my experience has been it's really ingrained into the ceilings. Popcorn ceilings in particular are extremely difficult. Yes, it can help, but if you don't do anything to address the source, you won't have a totally satisfied customer. The next question, I'm going to just go back through the chat timeline here. And I thank you folks for submitting those questions, and those that submitted them directly to the host as well as to the group. The next question is, can these go into an AC unit? The versions that we spoke about today are particularly designed for air scrubbers and dehumidifiers. Timon, we do have versions that can go into various air movers, HVAC systems, those sorts of things. We do that on a custom size basis, and you would just need to contact us directly to work on that type of project or product for you. The laundry product, had another question here about that, and I think what they're kind of asking is, the laundry would be used with your detergent. I think that's what the question is trying to ask. It's used in conjunction with it. It is not a detergent by itself. It is an additive, so you can utilize it with your commercial cleaning detergents. The one qualifier is we wouldn't want you to use it with your bleach. Essentially, the bleach and the OdorKlenz additive would be deactivating each other. So yes, it is a product that is used with your detergent. I have a question specifically about a particular model. They're asking about the Phoenix 270 HTX. I believe that's a LGR dehumidifier. And yes, we do have a cartridge for that. That would be our EK, or excuse me, our part. It's a 15 by 19 by 2 cartridge, and we do have that information. If anybody has any questions about different models or units that exist out there, we have that information. We can help you out on it. And we do, as I mentioned earlier, we have a lot of different sizes designed to fit a lot of the most common equipment used by restoration contractors out there. If there are no additional questions, and I hope I answered all those that got submitted, we'll be ending here the webinar here in a moment. We will be archiving this webinar and posting it to the website for future reference or for future uses. If you need to stay in touch with me directly, you can do that through our company's website, e-newsletters. We've got a Twitter feed online.com, online, as well as feel free to connect up with me on LinkedIn as well. And again, we will be archiving this webinar and getting that information out so that you can see that. And we will follow up. I'll verify by going through the chat feature to make sure I answered everybody's questions, and we'll be circulating that out for all that registered and attended. Thank you, and have a good day.